What does it mean to become a mature human being? Is it simply about growing older? Or is it naturally something much deeper? Something built through patience, failure, self-control, and the way we respond to the difficult moments of life. In 1910, Rudyard Kipling published a poem that exploded these questions. Its title was remarkably simple, If. Written as a series of conditions, the poem describes the qualities needed to face life with balance and dignity. Kipling speaks about doubts, success, failure, patience, ambition, and self-control. But if is not simply a list of instructions. Behind its advice is a larger idea. Character is reviewed by the way we respond to the world around us. More than a century later, the poem remains one of the Kipling's best-known works. So who was Rudyard Kipling, and what's made this poem so memorable? Let's discover why. Rudyard Kipling was born in Bombay, British India in 1865. He spent part of his childhood in India before being sent to England for his education. This early experience had a strong influence on his imagination and later writing. Kipling became a journalist, novelist, and poet. In his work, often reflected the different worlds he had experienced. He became particularly famous for works such as The Jungle Book, Kim, and numerous poems and short stories. In 1907, he received the Nobel Prize in Literature, becoming the first English language writer to receive the award. But If would become one of his most enduring poems. The poem was inspired by Sir Leander Starr Jameson, a British colonial figure whose actions during the Jameson raid had fascinated Kipling. Yet the poem itself moves beyond that historical inspiration. Instead of focusing on one particular person, Kipling creates a universal portrait of character. He asks us to imagine a person who can remain composed when others lose their composure, and continue after failure, and remain humble in success. And that is where the poem begins to speak beyond its original period. One of the first things we notice about If is its unusual structure. The poem is essentially a long sentence. Kipling repeatedly begins with the word if, creating series of conditions. If you can remain calm, if you can trust yourself, if you can wait, if you can face success and failure, if you can continue after losing everything, then eventually the poem arrives at its conclusion. The structure is important because Kipling does not present character as something that appears automatically. Instead, he builds it step by step. Each condition adds another quality: patience, confidence, humility, resilience, self-control. The poem, therefore, feels almost like a conversation between an experienced voice and someone who is still learning about life. And the repetition of if gives the poem its rhythm and its scenes of progression. One of the first ideas Kipling presents is self-control. He imagines a situation where people around you are losing their composure. Others may accuse you, they may doubt you, they may become emotional, but Kipling asks whether you can remain calm without allowing their behavior to determine your own. This is more than difficult than it sounds. The poem is not simply telling us to ignore people. It's exploring the relationship between external circumstance and internal control. We cannot always choose what happens around us, but we can influence how we respond. Kipling therefore presents us calmness not as a weakness, but as a form of strength. And this idea connects us with one of the central principles of the poem. A person's character is reviewed most clearly when circumstances become difficult. When everything is peaceful, almost anyone can appear confident. The real test comes when that peace disappears. But Kipling does not focus only on failure. He gives success an equally important place. Why? Because success can be just as dangerous as a failure when we allow it to control us. A person who becomes too attached to the success may begin to believe that achievement defines their entire identity, and when that success disappears, everything else may disappear with it. Kipling therefore places triumph and disaster side by side. They are opposite, but he treated them as a temporary experience. Success should not make us arrogant. Failure should not make us hopeless. Both are part of life. This balance is one of the most sophisticated ideas, and if Kipling is not asking us to become emotionalist, he is asking us to develop enough inner stability that neither victory nor defeat completely controls us. And perhaps this is why the poem is still feel relevant. Our circumstances can change very quickly, but the person we become through those experiences is something deeper.
Although the ideas of if are serious, Kipling's language remains remarkably accessible. He doesn't rely on complicated vocabulary. Instead, he uses repetition, rhythm, contrast, and imagery to make his ideas memorable. The repeated if gives the poem a clear structure and creates anticipation. Kipling also uses contrasts throughout the poem: success and failure, dreams and reality, risk and caution, beginning again and losing everything. These opposites help him create a balanced vision of life. The poem also contains powerful images. Kipling describes rebuilding after loss, taking risks, and remaining steady when circumstances become uncertain. These images transform abstract qualities such as courage and patience into experiences that the reader can imagine. And beneath all of this is the rhythm of the poem. Its long sentences create a steady movement. almost like a speech being delivered directly to the listener. This combination of simplicity, repetition, and rhythm is one of the reasons if is so easy to remember. More than 100 years have passed since Kipling's wrote If. The world around us has changed dramatically. Technology has transformed communication. Society has changed. The way we work, study, and understand ourselves is very different from Kipling's time. And yet the questions inside the poem remain familiar. How do we respond when people doubt us? How do we deal with failure? Can we remain humble when we succeed? Can we be patient when the results we want do not arrive immediately? These are not questions limited to one century. They belong to human experience. Perhaps that is the real reason If continues to be read. It doesn't promise that life will become easy. Instead, it asks us to consider what kind of person we want to become while moving through life's difficulties. And that makes the poem feel less like a piece of Victorian literature and more like a conversation that can still reach a modern reader.
Rudyard Kipling's If begins with serious conditions, but by the end of the poem, those conditions have become something much larger. They form a portrait of maturity, a person who can remain calm without becoming indifferent, who can have confidence without losing humanity, who can experience success without becoming dependent on it, who can face failure without allowing it to define the rest of their life. And perhaps most importantly, someone who can continue to grow. And that is what makes If more than a poem of advice. It is a reflection of character. Kipling does not tell us that becoming such as a person is easy. Instead, he shows us the qualities that make the journey magnificent. And maybe that is the question the poem ultimately leaves with us. If life tests your patience, your confidence, and your ability to begin again, what kind of person you will become. Thank you for watching a course of English literature. If you're enjoying this episode, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to continue exploring the voice and ideas that shaped English literature, join me in the next episode. Until then, keeping reading, keeping questioning, keeping discovering the echoes of literature.